Imagine driving down a cold, lonely country road in Arkansas on the night of March 15th, 1999. The air is thick and silent, with only the leaves rustling in the wind as your companion. It is in the small town of Russellville where Mary Helen Carter, a 38-year-old beloved schoolteacher, stepped out for a brief walk at 11:47 p.m. That night, she vanished without a trace. Her peaceful body was found the next morning beside a deserted rural road. No struggle, no forced entry, nothing stolen, only an open window inviting the chilling night inside. Footprints circled her lifeless form, only to mysteriously vanish, swallowed by the earth like the ghost that stalked this land. This chilling scene was the beginning of nearly 2 decades of terror that would unravel across Arkansas. More victims followed in the shadow of that night. John Bates, a 42-year-old truck driver, disappeared on a foggy night in October 2004. His truck was discovered miles from the last sighting, doors locked tight and belongings untouched. In late summer 2008, Emily Rogers, a 19-year-old college student, disappeared after attending a late-night party. Witnesses heard nothing unusual. She simply vanished into the darkness. Every scene whispered the same terrible story. Belongings intact, phones silent, the killer leaving no sign, no trace. The local sheriff's office found itself overwhelmed and baffled. Night after night, small towns and lonely country roads bore the weight of disappearances. Crime scenes were pristine. No sign of forced entry, no violence, and no witnesses. Like a phantom, the killer vanished before even the first responders arrived. Law enforcement described this invisible predator as chillingly methodical, striking when victims were most isolated and vulnerable. Without the advantage of modern forensic technology, the killer was decades ahead, a ghost haunting both physical places and the psyche of communities. Fear crawled into the hearts of the townsfolk. Neighbors no longer walked the streets at night. Doors were double-locked and whispered tales of a ghost stalking the woods gained frightening credence. Many speculated that the killer knew every hidden path and secret trail better than the police, a shadow blending so seamlessly with darkness that it inspired deep terror. The isolation of Arkansas's small, tight-knit communities amplified the terror. Psychologists explain that sustained fear gnaws at the social fabric, breeding suspicion and hypervigilance even among close friends and family. Whispered rumors grew. A man who thrived in silence and chaos, invisible yet omnipresent. Years passed and the case grew cold until forensic science breathed new life into the fading, fragile evidence. Minute DNA traces found on fibers discarded decades earlier, cross-referenced with new databases, began to reveal a profile of this ghost. Witness statements were revisited with new investigative techniques, filling gaps once considered unbridgeable. Digital footprints, surveillance footage, and a network of coordinated police work slowly tightened the net. In 2024, the ghost was unmasked. James Reese Morgan, a 50-year-old man with no prior convictions, living a quiet, ordinary life just outside these terror-stricken towns, was arrested. The evidence against him was overwhelming. His daily routine perfectly coincided with the timeline of attacks. His calm demeanor in court, devoid of remorse, unsettled even the hardest observers. The trial unfolded the portrait of a calculating, cold predator. But there were enormous complexities. Morgan was also deeply disturbed. He had crafted his entire existence to prey on the isolated and vulnerable, exploiting the darkness and the rural isolation with ruthless precision. Families of victims spoke from broken hearts, recounting years lost to grief and unanswered questions. Investigators detailed a relentless chase spanning decades, exposing the depth of cunning and cruelty needed to evade justice for so long. Psychologists dissected Morgan's warped mind, a twisted nexus of obsession, loneliness, and brutal predation. They explained how he lived behind a mask of normalcy for years, his horrific urges housed deep in shadow. His ability to vanish without a trace was no act of chance, but a hallmark of his spectral persona. Today, Arkansas continues to heal, but scars remain etched in the land and the people. The ghost of Arkansas forced law enforcement to rethink rural crime fighting, highlighting the imperative for forensic technology and interagency cooperation. The legacy of this haunted chapter stands as a somber reminder. True evil often hides quietly, masked as a neighbor or a passing stranger who disappears silently into the night. Thank you for joining this deep dive into one of America's darkest and most perplexing cold cases. Please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. How did a man evade capture for decades? How can communities protect themselves from shadows lurking just beyond the light? Stay alert, because sometimes the scariest ghosts don't haunt the graveyards. They walk silently among us.